Greg, congratulations on winning the UEFA Grow Award for creativity and innovation. Tell us a little bit about it.
It's a great award, and thank you, Michael. It's a great accolade for the whole coach education team and everybody that's been involved in the delivery of coach education over the past 18 months. Essentially, UEFA Grow look after, I suppose, the establishment and growth of football development on all 55 member countries. So it was something we were invited to apply for in the category of organisational development, and we were awarded, as you say, the creativity and innovation strand of that for everything that we've achieved and done in coach education over the past 18 months or so.
I suppose a key part of winning the award was due to the online delivery of the coach education courses during the pandemic. What was the process for moving those courses online?
Yeah, I think that's the creativity part, and the innovation part was, traditionally we always did everything face to face, and then when the pandemic struck, we had to find a way very quickly to move things online, and that was first and foremost to, I suppose, cut back on losses, because we thought nobody knew how long the pandemic was going to last, so we had to cut back on losses in that, just trying to get people to stay in touch with us online. But then the feedback was so good that we ended up actually developing courses in their own right online. So it just grew and grew and grew organically. And obviously as the pandemic deepened and continued, then we just added more and more courses and became, I suppose, more creative and innovative in everything that we were doing.
What have been the main benefits of moving some of the courses online?
There's been a whole host of benefits. I think the main one is keeping in touch with coaches, making sure people didn't come to a stuttering, a kind of shuddering halt almost of their coach education and development process. So that was a main one. Other ones were getting in touch with people that we maybe hadn't been in touch with previously. More accessible, putting on courses more often, more accessible, different times of the day, because maybe some people were on furlough, some people were at home trying to look after families or isolating and could pick up their coach education. So there was a huge raft of benefits really of putting everything online.
And has it allowed you to target other groups of people perhaps? I know you said off camera that there's been 40% increase in female attendees. Why do you think that is?
It's an interesting one. We're actually doing further research into that, and we've asked those female participants as to the reason now. Is it because it's maybe just a more welcoming environment? They maybe don't need to go to what was traditionally a male-dominated environment, and they can interact perhaps a bit more easily online. So there's those kinds of people. There are people from the Highlands and Islands that have probably found the courses more accessible as well, rather than maybe having to spend overnight journeys or long journeys and overnight stays, which would add obviously cost and time to the coach education process. And then of course Scots that are living abroad, and even international coaches, people living abroad as well, have found us more accessible because of the online offering.
What have been the main issues that you faced, and how have you overcome them?
Issues have been, I suppose, frustration. It's all very well saying you can't do everything online. You still need to be on the pitch, and we're delighted that we do get people on the pitch now that we're coming out of the pandemic. So that's a huge frustration, not knowing, as I said earlier, not knowing how long the pandemic was going to last, and keen to get people on the grass, keep people being keen to get on the grass. So whilst we've done all the theoretical elements online, and we also managed to do some practical elements online with people submitting their videos of their own coaching practice, the main frustration was essentially, when can we get back on the grass, and when can we do our coaching practice?
And when you've actually been able to do the courses online, you've been able to get some guest speakers along as well that I suppose have sort of improved and enhanced the quality of the delivery of the coach education courses. Again,
it's time efficient, I think, because people like, let's take for example people like Jose Mourinho, Andre Villas-Boas, Jesse Marsh are ones that spring to mind who are working abroad. But even in our own country, Robbie Nielsen, Jack Ross, Russell Martin, guys like that have been able to, I suppose, quite easily get themselves online, whether they're on their own training pitch, and get themselves in their manager's office or their head coach office, and be there and available and accessible for us, rather than them having to train, having to travel for days. So it's made not only us more accessible to course participants, but also more accessible to guest speakers.
I suppose the next challenge now is to ensure that we push on now and make sure that those numbers continue to increase, and we have more people out on the pitch as the pandemic continues to progress.
100%. Yeah, you're right. It's twofold, and it's also what do we keep online. I don't think we don't necessarily, now we're coming out of the pandemic, as you say, we don't necessarily need to throw everything out. We don't necessarily need to bin it. So what do we keep online? I think we've come up with a very, very good delivery model. That's probably the reason I'm standing speaking to you today, because we did win that award through developing a good delivery model, because I'm sure other people have maybe tried it and it didn't work out as well. But for us, thankfully it's worked out very well due to everybody's hard work and putting the model together. So now that the model's there, the model's successful, you're right, it's how do we now continue that? It's how do we balance that in a hybrid model of online and on the pitch?